I'm in Nakawa, just outside Erbil in northern Iraq, in Kurdistan. The first thing that strikes you when you get to Nakawa, which is like any typical town in this area, is the proliferation of Christian symbolism. In fact, when you're driving in from the airport, the first thing that strikes you is the very big and very bright cross over the Church of St. Peter and Paul. I counted 10 churches within a mile of where I'm staying here in Ankawa, 10 Christian churches. And that church, the Church of St. Peter and Paul, a massive structure just on the outside of the suburb, is one of the 3 new churches that's been built in the last 2 years. St. Peter and Paul is a Chaldean Catholic church. There's an Armenian Orthodox church, and there's a Syriac Catholic church. And what that's telling us is that the Christian population of Ankawa has been growing. And I was very curious why. Before I got involved with Stand with Iraqi Christians, an organization to support Christians and their communities in Iraq, I didn't even realize there was Christian communities in Iraq that had been here since the time of the apostles. Here in Erbil, they had their first bishop in the year 99 AD. And Erbil and the Nineveh Plains were a very important place in early Christianity. The monasteries developed in the east, the Coptic Church and in the churches of the east. And the history of Christianity is really important in the story of Iraq. Iraq is one of the last places we'd expect one of the oldest Christian churches in the world. But we forget that long before the Middle East became majority Muslim and Arab, the Apostle Thomas is believed to have gotten all the way to the north of India. On his way, he founded churches, and he went through the areas we now call Iraq and Iran. The Apostolic Church, established by the Apostles Thomas, Bartholomew, along with Addai of Edessa, was called the Church of the East. This church, that originally developed amongst the Assyrians during the 1st century in Upper Mesopotamia, which we now call Iraq, continues to this day in the Assyrian Church of the East and the Chaldean Catholic Church. Before Thomas and Bartholomew went east, spreading the good news of Jesus Christ, Iraq featured prominently in the Old Testament. Modern Iraq corresponds to Mesopotamia, the land between the 2 rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. In Genesis, we find Eden, humankind's first home, in or near Mesopotamia, as we're told that both the Tigris and the Euphrates flow from the river in Eden. The Tower of Babel was built there. Abram was born there. Isaac took a wife from there. And Jacob lived there for 20 years. Although these patriarchs settled in Canaan, their original homeland was Mesopotamia or Iraq. Iraq turns up again during both of the exiles, in both the Babylonian and the Assyrian exiles. From the time of the Babylonian exile, there was a large Jewish population that stayed in this area, and therefore this was a natural place for Christianity to spread in the 1st century. There's been a Christian presence in this country since the time of the apostles. At the beginning of the 20th century, there were 4 million Christians in Iraq. In 2003, before the American invasion, there were 1.5 million left. Today, there are less than 250,000. And this community that has stayed Christian is in danger of disappearing in our lifetime. I'm here with Stand with Iraqi Christians. We've been supporting farms on the Nineveh Plains, family farms. We've been helping in education projects, and we've been helping small businesses develop. And I'm here to see what's happened over the last 2 years. Here in Erbil, where there's a Christian suburb called Ankawa, a lot of progress has been made by the Christian community. A lot of the Christians who came here during ISIS have stayed here. Probably about 40% have gone back to the Nineveh Plains. Possibly 20% have stayed here, and another 30 to 40% have emigrated to Europe, America, Canada, and Australia. And the challenge today is, how can we keep the young people living in this country where they have a tradition going back almost 2,000 years?
My name is Vani Kazad Abedisian. I'm originally Armenian, but I grew up in Baghdad. We moved from Baghdad to Erbil because of the security situation happened in Baghdad after 2003. Living good life here, safety. We hope, all what we hope is to keep the Christianity here in Iraq, all Iraq, and keep it safe. That's all what we need, and all.